Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Jack and Glenn channel. Before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. Hey, we're getting ready to talk about Love is Blind season 9, the finale. I want to title it A Disaster in Denver, right? A Denver disaster. This season of Love is Blind just delivered one of the most tragic finales I've ever seen. It should have a content warning on it. Like, it was straight failure, right? Straight failure. Oh, man. The city proved that the eye testing really does matter. Hey, let's get into the finale. We got people who got crushed. We got people who got left at the altar. We had people that was crying. Let's get into it. Hey, once again, this is your first time here to this channel. This is Jack and Glenn. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of our reviews. Hey, we saw Love is Blind. The first couple that was up was Allie and Anton. Of course, you see the mom, you see the parents, everybody's getting dressed. Anton is nervous. Allie is nervous. In this relationship, if you remember this relationship was a perfect storm. It was kind of conflicting. We saw them get married early in the pod. I mean, excuse me, not married early. He got engaged early in the pod, as it seemed. The issue in this relationship was this, right? The affection they shared in the pods quickly dissolved when they moved together, right? When they started living together, their lifestyles, you can see the total difference in their lifestyles. Allie and Anton, we thought was the perfect couple at the beginning, right? We thought Allie and Anton was going to make it. Like, this the couple that's easy breezy, right? This couple that's simple. But when they started living together, Allie could not take Anton's drinking. She could not take his history of visiting strip clubs. She couldn't take his history of him being hanging out and being a party boy, right? Anton always said he hadn't been that way in a long time. It wasn't true. But his friend's girlfriend really dropped the dime and changed everything for Allie and Anton, right? Anton, deflected the point, right? He always said it wasn't him. He wanted to spend time with her. He wanted to be with her. Hey, didn't work out, man. They got to the altar. They were saying their vows. Anton said yes. Then Allie broke down and said she couldn't do it, right? That she couldn't marry him. It wasn't the same. She had issues. You saw people, the crowd was shocked and surprised. Anton was hurt, truly hurt. Women in the crowd was cussing. How could that be? Do whatsoever. The major issue with them, in my opinion, was this, right? The core issue, it boiled down to money and social class, right? The pressure from Allie's fans to openly question Anton's ability to provide for her, right? As being a truck driver, right? This is what, I mean, she said it before the wedding, and her friends are literally talking about, do you think he can provide for you? Do you want to be a truck driver forever? Like, you want him to be, like, y'all don't know. The dude, truck drivers make a lot of money. Depends on where he drives at. And he drives cross country. Truck drivers can make anywhere between 70, 80, maybe 90, over even $100,000 a year. Being a truck driver in America, transportation, logistics is one of the biggest fields in America, right? Logistics is booming because all of y'all order Amazon. Everybody orders things these days. So logistics, I don't think they really understood the gravity of his income and what she wanted. If she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom or she wanted to be a stay-at-home wife, if she wanted to be taking care of soft life, then say that. But you going back to school to get your, I believe, nurse practitioner license or your master's in nursing, just so you can marry him so you can stay home, right? If y'all remember, Allie wanted separate accounts, right? She wanted to hide her money, right? She wanted him to take care of everything when she had separate accounts. Anton wanted a unified budget. He wanted to work a budget, work a plan. And it came down to money to me. In my opinion, this relationship broke up. It didn't work out all because of Anton's financial situation. I don't even think it was the drinking so much, because she kind of forgave that, because she said when she met with one of her friends that she hadn't seen, when she met with the bridesmaids at the beginning, beginning of this episode, that she hadn't really seen that in a couple of weeks. And how can she trust, right? Anton's friend's girlfriend, and she only been around for a couple months. This relationship broke up, in my opinion, because of money and social class. Allie wanted to live a lifestyle that Anton didn't want to live. Anton wanted a budget, wanted to be financially secure, and Allie didn't want that. She wanted somebody who gave her, and this is always amazing to me when this happens in relationships, because if you make 100,000, I make 80,000, and we put our money together and we both make 180,000, we can't live off of that. If we figure out budgeting our plans and budget everything down, we can't live off 180,000. Like, what are you talking about? That's crazy, right? Good book says two is better than one if you're not a planet, right? As I mentioned, Anton was ready to say I do and figured it out. Allie feels she had been she's been misled about the reality of his life, right? That she's been misled because what he said in the pod is not what his lifestyle was, and she was unwilling to compromise on his lifestyle. She was unwilling to compromise her lifestyle to meet his lifestyle. And she was like, yo, he's a stranger, right? And she left him at the altar. All right. I mean, it was harsh, but I think it was necessary. All right. I think the drinking would have came back up. I think he couldn't have gotten her on the same page with him financially, which is terrible. I think she did save both of them from a marriage that would have been that would have ultimately failed because they wouldn't agree on some key aspects of life, right? They wouldn't agreed on key situations of what she wanted to do and how they wanted to do. But I think this one needed to end. Felt heartbroken for Anton, but she made a decision. I understand. I know in most weddings, the man goes first. I performed a wedding a couple weeks ago. The men goes first. I just want the woman to go first, right? So he has an answer. But anyway, let's move on. This Allie and Anton did not work out. Then we move on to Kalybriah and Edmond, man. Edmond's already upset as he's talking to Kalybriah's mom, who goes talks to Edmond. And Edmond realized that his mother's not coming for whatever personal reasons. She's not coming to the wedding. All right, his father's going to be there, and some other family members. His fifth grade teacher was going to be there. We actually see the fifth grade teacher. Right, this part was heartwarming for me. Right, this lady took a liking to Edmond in fifth grade. She shared how Edmond taught her. Right, I can imagine, what you saw Edmond as an adult in this season of Love Is Blind. That's where he was in fifth grade. Right, she said moving around, bouncing around the classroom, but she realized that as he was bouncing around the classroom, moving around the classroom, he was still learning. He was still listening. Right? She would feed him sometimes, Subway. And as she took a liking to him, not only in fifth grade, but as he got older, she was there to mentor him. Like he said, that's his second mom. All right, she took care of him. And that's true, man. You get kids who bouncing around. Everybody wants to say ADHD and all this. Just because they move, and had a psychologist friend of mine or a psychologist tell me a long time ago, just because kids are moving and they're bouncing, it doesn't mean they're not learning, right? They're multitasking. And that's Edmond, right? She said Edmond's infectious smile and ability to make people like him, that even at his graduation, the cooks from his university came to his graduation. This guy has an infectious personality where people like him, where people care about him, where people wanted to be with him. So Edmond gets down to the aisle, and we see Edmond there, and Kalybriah is talking to her mom, and she's talking about how she really loves Edmond, and love is there. And she gets to the aisle. Edmond is walked down the aisle by his fifth grade teacher, which is great. I mean, all I could think in my movie was like, man, these Caucasian women who are taking grasp to African American men who try to help them move, right? Move further. And this was Edmond's story, right? I thought Blindside and different movies that you see. But it was good to see. It was good to see the teacher and Edmond connection that was there, right? And their connection goes even after this as well. The vow here. Edmond arrives at the altar, right? Ready to commit. I mean, he's in. He's locked. He is locked in. Like Kalybriah is the best thing that ever happened to him. He doesn't want her to leave him. She loves him. Quickly, he says, "I do." Right? He declares his love for her. He finally found. He felt like. I think he found a safe place. Right? He found a safe place and he felt belonging. Remember, this is a young man that has, I don't want to diagnose, but he has abandonment issues, right? Mom left him, dad left him. He's been in and out of foster homes all his life. Haven't really had anything stable or connection. If you really honestly, the most stable thing in his life is his fifth grade teacher, right? In his rollerblade community, right? His rollerblade community and his fifth grade teacher are the most stable things that he's had in his life, right? Everything else or has been in and out of his life has abandoned him for a minute. So now he has stability. He feels that he has stability with Kalybriah. She comes down the aisle, right? Despite the deep connection, right? They had in a pod. Kalybriah couldn't shake her real world doubts, right? She had real world doubts, right? She's tearful, right? But she gave him a soft rejection. She said no. In the anguish from Edmond, the cry, the gut wrenching anguish from Edmond, I could feel it. Like this dude was like, "Hey, you left me again. Somebody left me again. I've been abandoned again. I loved again, and just left me empty. The hole is there, right?" He felt that way. But then Kalybriah goes into, I want to say, therapeutic mode. She goes to counseling mode, right? She holds his hand and she tells him that she really loves him. That she really cares about him and she loves him in the pod, but she just don't see this working out. Which I agree. I'm glad she's honest, right? She didn't see this working out. But my whole thing sitting here, and as I watched, was like, you could have did this before. You just didn't make this decision when you walked down the aisle. You knew this a week ago, right? You knew this 2 weeks ago. You probably knew this when y'all argued at the pod squad that this wasn't the guy. Why get all the way to the altar? Why get all the way to the altar and to let him down like this, or what's the word? To hurt him in front of families and friends when you could have did it in y'all apartment. You could have left peacefully, and wouldn't even gotten to the altar, so we wouldn't have seen the anguish and wouldn't have seen the heartache. Not saying she's a bad person, right? Not putting that there, because she wouldn't, again, mommy mode, therapeutic mode. I thought it would have been a therapeutic relationship. Then she stayed there to physically comfort him, right? They had a friendship, not a romantic relationship. All right. I want you to, they had a friendship, not a romantic bond, right? That's how this seemed to me. It seemed more of a friendship, not a romantic bond. They even walked down the aisle, right? If you had turned in this episode late and didn't watch it from the beginning, or you just cut it on when you came out and you see these two walk down the aisle holding hands, you would have thought they got married. They walked away from the aisle, they walked away still holding hands, and they still talked about their relationship. And then Edmond said, "I need a moment." He needed a moment. His fifth grade teacher comes and she consoles him. Kalybriah's crying with her mom, and she understands, you know what? It wouldn't have worked out, but I still love him. You love him as a friend. He wasn't you forever. He wasn't your guy. He's your friend, and I think they could be great friends, but not lovers. He wasn't what she needed. We saw that. She kept talking about the man's masculinity, right? She wanted to be more masculine, right? Not saying Edmond's not a masculine. She's talking about how great his body was, right? The best body she's ever seen. She let him down but gave him compliments at the same time, and he was hurt. He thought he had put so much into Kalybriah, like he's put so much into everything else in life. And again, something else let him down. He even told his teacher, like, "This is my last chance," right? I tried everything. I thought this was it. This is my last chance. He's almost giving up, like, I'm never going to get married. That was heartbreaking, right? He thought he would never get to the place. He would never get married again. Like, this was it for him. And sometimes we see women like that, but there are men who think, "Hey, this is it. This is my last shot, my last opportunity." And that's the way Edmond was. It was heartbreaking. Man, if it was heartbreaking for you to see Edmond and Kalybriah and see this guy hurt, man, I was rooting for Edmond, right? I was rooting that she would say yes, and they would at least try, work it out, and have a happy ending. I don't know if it was his looks. I doubted that, but I think it was more his behavior is why she didn't want to continue this relationship, continue this marriage with Edmond, right? But Hopefully they can still be good friends. All right. Then we go on to Jordan and Megan. I mentioned earlier with Kalybriah and Edmond that hey, they didn't make it to they should have made it to the aisle. Well, this couple didn't make it to the wedding. They didn't make it to the aisle. We see a clip of Jordan and Megan sitting on the couch having a conversation. They're discussing, right? Let's go back to the connection, right? The connection Megan and Jordan initially formed in the bonds, formed in the pod, right? Was about laughter, about joy. It was about the type 1 diabetes that her dad has and what Jordan's son Luca has, right? Megan felt like she was equipped, right, to be in that position, right, to help him out, to be a caregiver, to take care of Jordan and take care of Luca and to be with Jordan. She loved the fact that they talked and they laughed. But when they got to the real world, there was a big difference, right? She didn't get the connection she wanted. That she wasn't laughing. The communication stopped, right? The relationship, the connection with it quickly outside the pods due to everyday life, right? Everyday differences, right? Megan has a spontaneous lifestyle. She travels. She wants free. She a free lifestyle. If I want to go to Italy, I go to Italy. If I want to go to Germany, I go to Germany. If I want to go play golf in the middle of the day or tennis in the middle of the day, I do that. Jordan had a life about his kid, about going to work every day. And he was already locked into a routine, which didn't allow him to have the freedom that she had. Didn't allow the freedom to take place. The freedom couldn't happen, right? They didn't have the freedom. And Megan needed freedom. Megan wanted somebody who can fly here and fly there and go whenever. He's like, I can't do that. Right? I got responsibility here. And as a true man, he didn't want to live off her money. I mean, that was a factor too. He was like, yo, I still want to work. But what I thought his kind of immaturity and what he didn't understand, and I don't know if this is a generational thing, this is a cultural thing, but what it really is, you're marrying somebody who's wealthy. Doesn't mean that you don't have to work. Doesn't mean that you don't provide and take care of. It means that you two have come together and your lifestyle will change, right? I didn't think Jordan was able to grow on that knowing that when I get with Megan, and I really love Megan, because of her financial wealth, that my lifestyle is going to change, right? I may move up a little bit like George and Wheezy. Just because you have more money to come in your life and doesn't mean you change, right? More money only brings it only intensifies who you are anyway, right? If you are a hardworking surf person, still go to work, right? You and Megan have to sit down and do a budget to decide, hey, how our life is going to be, right? Are we going to be? I maybe have some free time. I maybe to do this. Hey, work together, right? He couldn't get past that because she felt like he wasn't going to give her the freedom, and he felt like that he wasn't going to be the man because he couldn't provide what she needed, and he didn't want her son. He didn't want Luca to grow up and have all this stuff and not realize hard work. Hard work, having money doesn't mean your kid's not going to grow up and learn hard work. That's what you teach them. It's a teaching process, right? Hey, we have this, and I have this because I work hard. All right. Megan realized that their bond was rooted more in just the medical experience from the relationship of her dad, or the medical relationship because of Luke and her dad both had type 1 diabetes. All right. And I like the fact that she was woman enough to set Jordan down before the wedding and have that tough conversation about her limitations, right? She had a concern about Luca's routine and her own desires for adventure. Like, could she still be a mom to Luca and still do what she wanted to do? I think that's where her immaturity came in at. She didn't realize she didn't want to give up part of her lifestyle, but she knew what she was getting into, right? She knew what she was getting into when Jordan was open. I have a son. I have a child. This is what he has. If you're gonna marry me, you're gonna marry him too, and we're gonna try to work this thing out. She didn't want to give it a chance. Didn't want to give her lifestyle. And I kind of give her hats off that she realized early, right? She didn't want to put Jordan through this. Didn't want to put Luca through this. Didn't want the drama of this unnecessary drama. Jordan said, the one thing that he wished, or the one thing that he regretted was that he introduced her to Luca. But I think she made a great decision, right, to end it early before they got down the road. She wasn't happy. She wanted a man to come in and basically take care of him and have a soft life. He wanted him to have a soft life, and she paid for everything, take care of everything. Jordan wanted to be still provider, still take care of things, and still be rooted and grounded in who he is. And I think they could have had both if they was willing to work on it. I say this about Married at First Sight. I'm gonna say this about Love Is Blind. I think in the process of this show, I know they leave the couples to their own devices. They should add some therapists. They should add some counselors into the show prior to them getting married, so some of these issues can be resolved and they're not left to their own devices to think about these things. I think Jordan and Megan would have worked out if counseling was involved. Just my opinion. Y'all guys let me know. But you guessed it, hey, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. There you have it. Three people was left, and nobody was successful. Denver got a 0 success rate, right? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first for this show that nobody walked away married. Every single engaged couple called it quits. Proves when lights are on, when the lights come on, practicality, the money, parenting, and lifestyle always trumps what happens in the pods. The pods are a controlled environment. But when life happens, and when lifestyle happens, and when you get back into the real world, people find out they're incompatible. Pods are different. Real life is the same. Hey, but what's your thoughts, right? Let me know. Leave a comment in the comment section below, right? Which wedding or lack of were more catastrophic for you? Do you agree with Jordan? Did you agree with Megan's decision and Jordan's decision to let it go? How was Kalybriah and Edmond to you on camera and on scene? Hey, let me know. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. Make sure you don't miss any of our reviews. I appreciate you rocking with me. Love Is Blind. Season 12 is over. We got the reunion. And, man, we had a shocking announcement. Oh, Megan said she thought she would never have kids. Well, we might find out something different at the reunion. Talk to you later. Peace.